Welcome to Talk to Ron Michel. I'm sitting here with Dr. Joe Serio. He's not only a published author, but he's a speaker, trainer, entrepreneur, and a great friend. Dr. Joe, thank you so much for sitting here with me. I really appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. First, let me ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you came from, and how did you get to write all these great books?
I was born in New York, so this is not a Southern twang I got. I'm from outside New York City, the ninth of 12 kids. My father was an immigrant from Sicily. So, when I grew up, I had a lot of fear, and that was what drove all of my business. So growing up, I had fear. I ran away from everything. I blamed everybody else for my stuff. So I ended up spending 10 years in Russia. I spent a year in China. I traveled all over Europe. I did everything possible to run away from myself. I had all this fear and I didn't know what to do with it. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to go just do cool things that I want to do. I'm just going to go find the first example or the first opportunity to run away from home. And it ended up, fortunately for me, taking me to some really cool places and having really cool experiences. So 10 years in Russia, the only American to work with the Soviet National Police in their organized crime control department. I ended up becoming the director of the Moscow office of the world's leading global corporate investigation and business intelligence firm. My job was to investigate the Russian mafia in Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, wherever our clients had problems. So my job was to protect American and European companies that were investing in Russia and keep them out of trouble. And when they got into trouble, my job was to make that trouble go away. So if the Russian mafia was banging down your door, my job was to make that disappear. However I did that, okay? I'm not telling you.
Well, as myself being an entrepreneur, and I have a lot of fellow entrepreneurs friends, one of the biggest facts that we all talk about is the fear of failing, fear of not making it, nobody's believing in us, my wife is going to leave me, my kids, they're not going to like me, and how you define fear in general.
So fear is the gap between expectation, right? What I think I want to have happen and what actually happens. We fill the gap with, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, what if I make a mistake? What if I embarrass myself? And it keeps us from going after the vision that we actually have inside our head. You know what I mean? So the number one problem, the number one reason businesses fail is fear. It's not the market. It's not the economy. How is it that people still make money in a lousy economy? How is it that people who think they don't have a good product can still make money with a product that...
Great example is
right?
the depression.
Sure. Plenty of people made plenty of money during the depression. Take war, right? War.
Absolutely.
We think war is a bad thing, but you know what? A lot of people make a lot of money off of war. If I'm a black market arms dealer, war is an excellent thing for me, right? And the difference between you and me, right? The reason you are successful and make $1 million a year and the reason that I'm not is fear. That's the number one primary reason.
Well, one of your books that I really like is Overcoming of the Fear. And I read something, and I believe it's page 43, that you talk about the blame game can take many forms. Would you a little bit explain about that? What is the blame game? Is it that really we created as a human?
You know what? It's great, it's powerful to understand that we created most things, right? We created our story, we created our narrative, we created what we believe about ourselves, we create our priorities, we create our goals, we create the reasons that we don't get the things that we want. And part of it is the blame game. We think other people are responsible for our life. We think that, if my parents were just richer, I would have gone to a better school and I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in. If my wife, my husband weren't such a nag, I wouldn't have gotten divorced. It's their issue. So I'll give you a very quick story, quick example. I have a friend who, before the age of 30, was married 5 times. Okay, now she's been
5 times.
5 times. Now she's been married for more than 30 years to her 6th husband. What was his difference? The difference was after the 5th time, she realized the only common denominator in all these relationships was her. And she said, oh, what am I doing? How am I sabotaging my happiness? How am I sabotaging my success? How was it that I blamed everybody around me and sabotaged the marriage before someone else could hurt me? Right? We do the same thing with businesses. Oh, if the IRS didn't take so much money, I'd be a success. Oh, if nobody came to help me and show me how to do this, so therefore my business went down the toilet. No, it doesn't work like that. We look for people and situations to blame when everything is run by this idea of self, right? So from the inside out. Everything happens from the inside out. I just started working with a new client, big company, 550 employees now, and they're going to move to 1,000 in the next 6 months. And it's all blue collar and a lot of people who are at risk, right? People who got in trouble with the law, people, mostly men, and bringing this message to them and say, look, this is not about anybody else. This is not about the stupid cops who arrested you. This is not about the other person that picked the fight. This is about you from the inside out. And you can see the looks in their faces saying, aha, well, you stirred up a lot of stuff in me and you made me realize that I am the only one responsible for my life. And it's the choices that I make and the responses that I give to every event that happens around me, that's what determines my success. That's what determines my outcomes. Am I going to be a millionaire? Do you have a millionaire mindset? If you have a $100,000 mindset, then you're going to make $100,000. If you have a millionaire mindset, you're going to make $1 million. Right? That's the starting point. It's not about social media and video and speaking ability on stage. That comes later. First thing is the mindset. Do you have a success mindset? Do you have a success belief? Do you believe the story in your head to be true? And the answer is yes. But the question is, what is the story in your head?
Basically, as you said, you're going back to the why. Like what you believe and what is your mindset. If you believe you can be successful, therefore you can be successful. If you don't believe you can be successful, you can't. But the problem is, a lot of people like entrepreneurs or ordinary people, they blame on the external factors. Like they can't control, the environment. But what do you think about that? Because we can't control environment.
Yeah, I have to tell you something. I have to tell you something you just said. Entrepreneurs are ordinary people. Okay? Think about Walmart. Sam Walton, before the whole family had billions of dollars, who was Sam Walton? Sam Walton was an ordinary person. I think entrepreneurs get carried away a little bit with this idea that, oh, look at them, they're so big and bright and shiny and smart and successful. I can never be like them. Well, guess what? 5 years ago, they were worse than you. You know what I mean? So we have this projection. That's what I'm saying. The story inside my head determines how I see the things I'm projecting. If I see Rami, and Rami's successful, and he's got the nice blue shirt, and he's got the smart-looking glasses, and he's successful, and I say, oh, I can never be successful. Why? Not because of Rami, because of the voice that's inside my head that told me I decided I can't be successful like Rami. So now I've set myself on the path to fear. Now I've set myself on the path to failure, however you define that, right? And you get to define it. That's the beautiful thing of all this stuff. People don't realize we get to define it. We get to define who we're going to be. We get to define what we're afraid of. We get to define how we're going to handle the fear. We get to define who we're going to attract into our life. So if I want to attract success into my life, who do I have to have around me? I have to have around me successful people. If I want to attract into my life misery and pessimism and failure and focus on problems instead of being focused on solutions, then I attract all those people in my life.
Basically what you're saying is very important who you hang around with.
Oh, of course, no doubt, right? Because they're going to be influencing you. Here's one thing that really helped me a lot. When I was making my transition, right, from being afraid of everything to going and claiming my life, there are two things I did. Number one, I created a praise file. So if anyone sent me an email, if you sent me an email and said, hey, Joe, good interview, we had fun, print it out, stick it in the file. Somebody sends me a card, hey, you did great at that conference. Keep it, put it in the file. So if I'm sitting at my desk working and the old voice kicks in, oh, you can't do this. This is too hard. Remember, Dad said you'll never amount to anything, right? That voice, so many of us have that. Open the drawer, pull out the praise file, open it up. Oh, you did this great, you did this great, you did this great, put it back, get to work, right? The other thing is watching people. So we look at people and say, hey, they have a $1,000 suit. Hey, they drive a nice car. So no, I want to get to know what's behind that. And I realize there's so many people that have the fear just like me. There's so many people whose marriages are a mess, who can't control their weight, they have low self-esteem, they have terrible relationships with their kids. Except from the outside, they look like they're perfect.
They're perfect.
Right? So the idea is stop judging your insides according to other people's outsides. Right? Stop judging your own feelings according to what you see other people do. I've seen plenty of speakers, authors, trainers who wrote books that were terrible. Their training, not so great. But I looked at them when I started and I said, oh, I can't be like them. And then I just decided, no, I'm not going to be like them. I'm going to be the best version of me that I can.
But I'm sure in some point in your life you felt too. I know, but writing all those books, they're unbelievably good. But you felt, and if you tell me you didn't feel, you lie. But
So
but
you tell me.
How did you get back up? That's the
what's
question.
Failure? Right, there's the question, right?
My version of failure is I did something, didn't work, and I want to do it again.
That's it.
That's my definition.
So tell me, now that I'm start interviewing you, tell me, what did you learn from the failure?
It's just you got to try something else.
Because
the whatever you did, it didn't work.
And you think that if I try something else, then I might have a new education, new information, new knowledge, new opportunity to make it work.
Yeah, but a lot of people, they don't think like you and I. A lot of people, they say, oh, I'm done, I failed, it's not going to happen, what can I do, and all this stuff. We all failed. And the most important part is how you get back up and dust yourself and keep on going.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Failure is when you say, no, I can't do it, and I'm done. That's failure.
You close the chapter.
Close the whole operation down. If I say, I can't write, I can't speak, I can't train, and I stop training and I go get a job at Walmart, then that's failure.
You've given in.
I've given in. But falling down is a different thing. Here's what I figured out. In my journey, my transition from being afraid of everything to being successful is the road to excellence goes directly through mistakes and failure. Goes directly through mistakes and failure. Except when you grow up with the mindset that I had, was that failure is not an option. If I fall down, people will laugh at me. I won't be accepted. The tribe will kick me out. I won't be able to survive on my own, right? That's what fear is.
Yes.
This fear of failure is people will leave me, and people who love me won't love me anymore, and they'll disappear and they'll go away, and I won't be able to handle it. That's what the fear does. And so we think that we have to insulate ourselves from failure. That's not the right approach. The right approach is having a plan for what am I trying to accomplish, who's my niche market, what is their needs, let them tell me what their needs are, am I capable of filling it, and I'm going to make mistakes. And the more mistakes I make, the more I learn how to fulfill their needs. The more mistakes I make, the more I fall down, the more, if I write a crappy book, what do I have to do? I have to say, oh, why didn't that book sell? Why am I starting to develop a bad reputation? Oh, because I didn't take the time to write the best book I could possibly write. You know what most people do?
No.
They never start writing. If you use the book as the example, most people will never start writing. I was astounded when I became a speaker and writer. The people, I had seen their name for decades. I'd heard about them. And I talked to them and they say, oh, I'm just making 6 figures this year. I've known about you for 15 years. How can it be true that you're just making 6 figures this year? Oh, I have such a great idea for a book. I said, great. How long have you had this idea? I've had the idea for 5 years. How come you haven't written the book? Oh, well, I'm busy with this. No. That's not how this works. It's not I'm busy. Everyone's busy. Everyone will always be busy. The question is, are you busy chasing the right thing? Have you set your priorities? Do you know how to say no to people?
Right. But that goes to my next question. Some people, they are in their comfort zone, as you know. They have 8 to 5 jobs, they get their money, they get their salary, they get their necessity of life, and they don't want it, like you and I or anybody else, to leave their comfort zone and face this stuff that you're saying, because by leaving the comfort zone, you face those fears.
Sure.
Don't you think that's the reason that people, they're afraid of leaving their comfort zone?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is one of the most basic misconceptions. Right? People want to feel comfortable in their comfort zone, except everything happens outside the comfort zone.
I agree.
Right? Take this situation. Cameras, lights, we're talking. This is an inherently artificial environment. There is nothing comfortable about this. And people sit and talk, and we have cameras, and they're examining every pore in my face. And I'm fat on camera. Do I look ridiculous?
I look good.
You look good. I know. And you have these fears, right? And you say, "Oh my God, can I do it? How are people going to accept this video?" We do it all the time.
Absolutely.
We do it all the time. And the task is get outside your comfort zone. Go do the video. Go write the book.
That's what I created at Talk to Rami show. Actually, basically, getting out of my comfort zone and helping other people to reach the success and happiness that I have.
And that's exactly how it works, right? And when people understand, they'll waste far less time if they understand that they have to run toward the discomfort. So what you don't know right now, you, Rami, and starting this show, is you have no idea where it's going to lead. Right?
No.
You don't know. Someone may see it and say, "Oh, Rami, we want to give you a studio. We want to give you your own show on cable," whatever. You don't know. So people in their comfort zone, they decide that whatever's out there is too scary, and they get the fear inside their head, and they build it and morph it and change it into this monster that doesn't really exist. Right?
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion. It's out of proportion thing that they created themselves because of the story they tell themselves. They won't start the TV show because they'll be afraid of this moment, except you're starting the TV show because you know that creates opportunity. It's going to create things down the road. Opportunities for you to bring people in, to talk to your audience, to help your audience shift, to help your audience change, to help your audience deal with their fear or whatever and try to build a better business. Right? People who don't try, they don't understand that they don't know, right? They don't understand that they don't know what's possible. The only way they're going to find out what's possible is if they get outside their comfort zone and take one step. So when I started playing the harmonica, this is a weird thing. I started playing the harmonica because I was afraid of the guitar. I never wanted to play the harmonica. I wanted to play the guitar.
That's a hard instrument.
Right? I thought, okay, this is an easy instrument, small. I'll use that to convince myself psychologically to go play the guitar. Okay? You know what they didn't tell me about the harmonica? They didn't tell me if I play the harmonica my way and do the thing I need to do with the harmonica, that I'm going to play on a stage in a nightclub in London and at a house party in Paris. And I played for cops in Warsaw. And I played for KGB agents in Moscow. And I played on the biggest stage outside of the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. And I recorded on a CD with a group out of Austin. When you pick it up the first day, you don't think about any of that stuff. It's the same with your TV show. It's the same with my business. It's the same with being an entrepreneur.
But all the entrepreneurs, they all want to know, okay, where should I start? What would be the first step? As you said, the first step that they don't know. They have fear, or really they don't have the right mentor or guidance. What they really should do? Like, where do they have to start with all this stuff? It's a scary world. Entrepreneurship, as you know, is very scary.
Sure. It's scary. Let's agree. It's scary. There are a couple of places to start. Number one, we mentioned already, beliefs. Beliefs, values, drive priorities, drive actions toward goals, and get you your outcomes or your consequences, right? So why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Why are you doing this? Are you doing this because I want to make a lot of money? That's one version. I want to help people. I want to get people out of their comfort zone. You know what? And that's great. Number two is, who's done it before me?
And just don't reinvent the wheel.
Don't reinvent the wheel. There are plenty of people who have done a lot of things, but you want to ask the right person. I don't ask my broke uncle for financial advice, right? I don't ask him for financial advice because he doesn't know what he's doing. So I want to find an entrepreneur who knows what he's doing, and that's how I started mine. I jumped off. I finished school. I got my PhD. Do I go teach at a university, or do I do this speaking thing that's been my dream since I was 13 years old, but I was too afraid?
Why you were afraid?
Because what will people say? What will people think of me?
They judge you?
What if I embarrass myself? What if I make a mistake? What if I fall down? What if it's a total disaster? Okay? So, but that's the thing. That's the place we start, is what is it I want to do? Who is it I'm doing it for? Do they need what I have? This philosophical, psychological foundation is the belief of myself and the story inside my head. If you want to be an entrepreneur and the voice inside your head says, I never do anything right, I can't do it, I can't face my fears, my suggestion to you is don't waste all your money trying to be an entrepreneur, because you may not be ready, right? You have to understand, why am I doing, what makes me tick? Do I want to work indoors? Do I want to work outdoors? Do I want to work with people? Do I want to work with computers? Am I trying to be an entrepreneur in order to get self-worth? So people can see me and say, oh, he's the hero, he's wonderful, right? That's a whole different set of things. That's not a great reason to be an entrepreneur.
But, with all you said, but it's still some entrepreneurs, I think they just dismiss the facts. Like, they just want to hit the road and go. And they fail. And going back to your, what you said, that they created it. They didn't have the right mindset in the first place, right? Therefore, that's one of the reasons they fail.
So here's a couple of things. A couple of sayings, right? Number one, fail big and fail fast.
And that's going to actually help you.
It will help you. You know what one of the issues is? Entrepreneurs, they don't fail fast and they don't fail big. They tiptoe around, oh, maybe I'll write this book. 5 years later, still haven't written the book. So they don't know. They still don't know if it's going to be a failure or not.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Nike.
Right? Are they paying you?
No, no.
Right? So
I wish.
They tiptoe around and they play small and they stay small and they start their business within their context of their limiting beliefs. So they say, oh, I believe I'm a $50,000 a year speaker. And that's what they get. The other thing is, the other phrase that comes to mind comes out of Jim Collins. Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. Face the brutal facts. Right? Every company, solopreneur, GM, whatever, have to follow this axiom. Face the brutal facts. Do I know the reality of my situation? Have I looked at my bank account lately? Have I looked at my expenses? Do I look at my metrics? Do I have metrics? Am I a good speaker or not a good speaker? Maybe I shouldn't be in the speaking business because I'm a terrible speaker and I'm not doing anything to improve it. Oh, that's why this business isn't working. I had a conversation the other day on the phone with a man and his wife. And I asked him, what is the number you set on January 1st, 2014, that was going to be your revenue for 2014? He said, I didn't have a number. I didn't set any number. I said, yeah, that's part of the issue. Because when your brain doesn't have a specific goal to go after, it can't make sense of all this other stuff. I want to be wealthy. Your brain doesn't know what that means. I want to lose weight. Your brain doesn't know what that means. So I can't create a plan based on wishes and dreams and hopes. I said, no, in 2016, I'm going to make $50,000 in the year. And here's how I'm going to do it. Boom, 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 boom. In 2016, I'm going to make $500,000 in the year. Here's how I'm going to do it. Boom, 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 boom. Now, what mindset do I have if it's not a perfect mindset, which it's not, right? We all have fear.
Yes.
We all get into it. But if the mindset is set, here's my specific goal, my measurable metric, right? Here's where I'm going. Now, what are the actions that I have to take in order to get there? Who are the people I have to attract into my world in order to get there, right? My imagination, my vision for my financial success did not become fully blown up, in the fullness of it, right? Of what I believed I was capable of until I started doing this. Metrics, attracting great people into my world. Who can I work with? Who can help me? Who can support me? Who's generating revenue for me when I'm sitting at home? Who can I help generate revenue for? Can I write books? That's one of the reasons why a number of my books are co-authored. Because I don't know everything. So let me bring people from my niche market who know my niche market, who can bring their specialty as it applies to my niche market and co-author books with
But
me.
a lot of people don't think like you do. Like they have that ego or, no, I don't want to ask because I know it all. And I think one of the reasons that entrepreneurs fail, correct me if I'm wrong, is just exactly what you said. They're not willing to ask. Mm-hmm. Like alcoholic people, the 3 words. If they can say those 3 words, they wouldn't be alcoholic. I need help.
Right.
That's the reason that I think you're exactly right, that they shy. They don't ask if they need something that will help them to grow.
But where does that come from?
Their mindset.
Now we're going right, exactly. Now we take the loop back to mindset and fears that people have. What's the fear they have? I don't want to look silly. I can't ask them for help because at this stage in my life, I should be further along, right? Whatever that means. I'll be embarrassed. I can't go ask my financial planner for help because I have no money. So I won't ask a financial planner for help. I'll just continue along in my lousy financial situation so that I can avoid the embarrassment. That's comfort zone, right? And all of this, everything that we're talking about keeps looping back. And so in my trainings, in my classes, with my markets, with my companies, my company clients that I'm working with, I always ask them 3 questions. Number 1, who are you? Number 2, what do you want? And number 3, how are you going to get it? Because the company won't get it until the individuals get it for themselves.
Absolutely.
Right? Except most individuals never ask themselves those questions. And when they ask themselves those questions, they give themselves answers that feel good, but their brain can't make sense of. I want to be rich. I want to lose weight, right? Now we loop back to that problem. I said, no. The answers to those questions have to be as specific as possible, like we were talking about. Can I create the goal? Can I create the metrics, right? As specifically as possible. What do I want? How am I going to get it? When you can answer those specific questions as specifically as possible, it starts to open up possibilities, starts to change your life.
Absolutely. We're going to wrap it up, but this is my favorite book, The Overcoming Fear, that I read it many times. Tell me a little bit about all your books here. What are they and where are the people that can find it and buy it and actually read it?
The book series is called the Get the Nerve series, right? Out of my fear. And so I created this series called the Get the Nerve series because of the fear, right? Fear runs through everything that we do. So I created the book on fear, then created the book on time management, then created a book on public speaking. Why? Because those are 3 areas, right? People are filled with fear. And then I created 3 more books for one of my niche markets, which is law enforcement. I speak to a lot of police departments, sheriff's departments, academies, conferences.
Kind of related to fear too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we created books for them on fitness for law enforcement, how to retire well from law enforcement, and stress for law enforcement. And then next year, we'll start creating a series for firefighters. I love people who are in public service, uniformed services, right? I love those guys. And so I want to bring what I've learned to them. And so the books are available on my website, joeserio.com, and on Amazon.
On Amazon, great. But once again, thank you so much for sitting here with me today. I really appreciate your time, and I know how busy you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for this show. And if you'd like to learn more about entrepreneurship, please check my website at talktorami.com. Thank you.